Hey guy, great. Wow, that was a fuck up. That was a fuck up. I can edit it out.
Don't
I
edit
could.
it out. Bloopers are funny. You can just add it to the end like a blooper. I love bloopers. I actually watch like bloopers of certain shows and movies sometimes just because I love to laugh and that shit makes me laugh. Side note, that shit makes me laugh. Like, one thing that uncontrollably makes me laugh is when people mess up their words. I don't know what what that does to my brain, but it is just hilarious. Like, even myself, if I stumble over my words, I'm gonna laugh for like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and
nice.
people look at me like, it was not that funny. But it was freaking hilarious to me.
You did it last time.
So, yeah, I do it all the time. So, like, I don't know, I love bloopers, so you should keep that in there, just in case anybody's like me.
No, I'm fine with bloopers too. This is about you. I'm not gonna make it about me today.
No, it was about me last time.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the point. So the premise of me doing a lot of these particular videos is for you guys to get to know her, because unless you're following her, she doesn't really have, she has the ability to do this on her own, but it gives her the ability to showcase that, okay, she's doing this in a space that she's comfortable with somebody that she also is comfortable with, and that she gets to express ideas that she may not have thought of on her own. So,
Or, you know, gives me an ability to express ideas out loud on a platform rather than in my room to myself, because that's what I do every day. I know, I talk to myself every day. It's weird, right?
but you don't post it.
No, I don't. I don't know.
Which is why I just had that conversation not so long ago.
I said this is it gives me the ability to do that. Yeah, I reiterated what you said in my words.
Okay. I'm just like, what you just did, or talked about, I'm like, we just had a conversation outside of this clip.
Yeah.
Video.
I do need to start doing that, and I just hit 1,000 followers on TikTok, so I'm gonna start going live soon. Yeah, they're all bots, pretty much, but it's okay. Like a bunch of fake accounts. Like I just know they're fake because they have mad numbers. I mean, not all of them are, but I just see mad like random ones, and I'm just like, damn. Well, once you're on live though, like the lives pop up on everybody's feed pretty much. Like anybody who they think will want to watch your live. So I'm not really worried about the fake followers. I'm just gonna go on live and talk about everything I'm interested in and see who's interested in
As you should.
what. Yeah.
Listen,
I'll be playing The Sims, I'll be talking about music, maybe sing a little bit, even though I think that's kind of corny to do on live, but you know.
I'm gonna take this small clip because now you just hit a point that I never talked about in the last video, with the whole branding concept, because it's this is separate. So I will say on my personal end, when I was consistent on TikTok, even though my likes wasn't showing it, even though my views wasn't showing it, and even though my comments wasn't showing it, I got to 6,000 followers. I stopped because I wasn't getting the views that I was thinking about getting. I'm like, well, there's no point. But when I was being consistent, I was having legitimately a follower a day. When, and I believe I told you this, yeah, I told you this already, but I have a friend of mine, when she had hired me to do her YouTube edits, she jumped up from following, and I'm probably gonna message her so she can actually say the actual numbers, but I wanna say she jumped up like 5,000 followers on her Instagram. She jumped up on her TikTok and every other platform outside of YouTube. But that was because she took the long form content and then made shorts out of it and posted those shorts everywhere. No, you're fine. The only thing for her perspective, I wish it was more consistent, or at least it was more on a daily basis, or each day. But she was doing it once a day. She had a specific goal. I was like, okay, as long as you have a goal in mind with that, then you should be good. But yeah, that's my little proofs of I know what I'm talking about situation.
You always need the receipts. People these days. Don't worry, I got receipts. I got everything.
All I meant to say about the whole brand thing was just, if you're going to go viral, then do what you're doing right now. But if you're being a brand, then the brand requires consistency on either a daily or weekly basis, and you're not going to see the results that you're asking for until 6 months later. That's all.
Yeah, just good. And actually, I just saw this video. I don't know where it was. probably Instagram. It was basically about consistency, but also persistence. Consistency can mean a lot of things. You can be consistent in your work, but you could also be consistent in being a lazy person. You could be consistent and doing the same thing every day and being complacent with that. Persistence is adding to that and giving yourself more of a, what do I want to say? Like, you want to do more.
Motivational.
Yes, motivation. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry. See? That's why I do it with the
I got you.
part. Because
I got you.
Yeah.
No,
My brain
it's-
doesn't work all the time.
discipline is the consistency factor, but yeah, I get what you mean. God damn.
That's big on tempo.
All right, yeah, guys, I'm in the ghetto area of this town, so you're gonna hear all the honking. Just kidding. I'm not. So we're gonna go into our questions. I have some questions for Riz to answer, maybe to potentially open up more discussions, and we can see where we'll go from there. So, I'm actually gonna start with the first question about the woman hip hop thing. So, what are your thoughts on the current state of the culture of woman hip hop? Especially as an artist going into that world.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings. I mean, some days I really think that it's good where it's at right now, but at the same time, you look back on certain eras and you're like, was it actually better then? Like, okay, right now compared to early 2K, come on, y'all. Don't act like you don't know.
Yeah,
If you don't know,
But if you're talking early 2K, then you're saying like ideally 5 female artists. That's not.
right, but they was killing it though. And it's like that everybody knew their names, stuff like that. Now it's like there are a lot of good female hip hop artists, but it's more so everybody's leaning towards, like, I feel like nobody's actually in the hip hop category anymore. I feel like they're all trying to either rap or maybe do a little bit of everything, which is fine. That's what I want to do too. But like, I don't know, I feel like they kind of fell off the,
Radar?
no, not the specific people, just like hip hop. Females in hip hop, I feel like it's not quite like pinpointed to hip hop anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
So
like everybody's trying, I feel like a lot of people are just trying to be rappers right now, which is fine. Like, if you can rap and you do that, you do you. Like, I'm not killing your spirits or anything. Like, but I'm just saying a lot of it is like, if you're a rapper, do you consider yourself a hip hop artist? Or do you just consider yourself a rapper, female rapper? Because these days I feel like it sounds cooler to people to be like, oh yeah, I'm a female rapper. Or like, you know what I mean? They don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm a hip hop artist. Like, to me, that sounds way cooler. I want to be a hip hop artist, but I don't know. Like, there's branches off of hip hop, so maybe it all does tie into it. I don't know. What do you think?
my thoughts on woman hip hop.
Oh wait, hold on, cut. But women definitely are making their mark in the music industry all over right now. Like,
Well,
significantly.
that's a question that I didn't really, sent to you, but I did want to ask you, but I didn't know if you had the, I didn't know if you was aware, and I just didn't know if you were aware about it. So, from my observation, I don't have any article, any facts backing me up, but just from my observation, from what I'm starting to gather, starting to hear, women hip hop albums aren't hitting the same marks as other albums, ideally male hip hop artists, whether they are rappers or R&B singers. But R&B singers is infinity in this time period right now. So I want to know your thoughts on that. Of like,
Why they're not hitting those marks?
well, not so why did I hit those marks? Because ideally, from my personal being, I can say there's no actual substance, but then that's like shots at like a lot of.
What about this?
But I mean, I can be real about it because a lot of them usually talk about their vagina, and it's like, okay, I don't want to. As a guy or as a listener from the outside, I don't want to hear an album about your vagina, and that's a lot of y'all. That's most likely are talking about that.
There's a lot that don't.
Those are underground artists. I'm talking about more so the mainstream artists.
And you're talking about like rappers or singers?
In this category, I'm talking about rappers because of the sense that rappers tend to have a larger album sale.
Yeah, I will say that to start off with, a lot of female artists, rappers specifically, do start off like that. They do start off talking about more sexual things, and from a woman's perspective, I know why. Because we know it's going to get attention. We know that's going to get a certain target audience. When an agent or when somebody comes to a female artist and is like, okay, who's your target audience? You know they want to hear you say men. You know they want to hear you say that. And so that's why I think a lot of their beginning songs are like that. And then as you get to listening to them, you find out like more about them. And I don't know, they'll post more songs actually pertaining to them and not what the industry wants them to do. But that's, I don't know, unfortunately that is a big part of the industry. Females are always going to be looked at more as sexual beings than human beings, I feel like, especially in that industry today.
Which is the weird concept, because you would think that by talking about that, you would get higher sales. But you don't.
Right, because
So you get more attention than
because that's what I'm like kind of like what you're saying. You don't want to hear about that. Whereas like, how do I put this into words? I need to practice putting my thoughts into words because sometimes it's bad.
No.
But basically, I'm saying when it comes down to it, I've been around a lot of men who try to listen to female artists because maybe I'm trying to put them onto them, or somebody around them has put them onto some songs. Men don't want to hear all about that all the time, and that's why women say, oh yeah, the target audience is men, but really the songs aren't relatable to men. That's why men aren't going to listen to it. And then you have songs like I Know Anxiety by Coi Leray. I know so many men that listen to that song because it's relatable to more than just a female. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you know that song, but I know personally other men that do. And if you heard it, you'd probably be like, okay, I see why this would be interesting for not only a female to listen to. And back then, in like early 2K or the 90s especially, female artists, female hip-hop MCs, whatever, they were talking about real shit. They weren't just talking about their bodies. Like, they were, but it was more in like a fun, giddy way. You know, it wasn't like a rough, like, aggressive, like, nigga, eat my pussy way. Like, because that's all it is now.
Hey, unless you're a dancehall artist, you can get away with it. But
yeah. That's their culture, though. Like, and they don't even say it really. Like, they be aggressive, but like, you know, it sounds good when they be.
Exactly. Look at you. They definitely say it. It just make it sound like it's mad. Yeah.
And you know that's like, I don't know, the culture. You gotta know.
But no, because I don't want to really harp on this particular topic too long, because then we actually have other questions that I do want to ask you. Because I think about it even in the sense of what we're talking about, and I'm like, okay, ideally Megan Thee Stallion or the City Girls or
yes, but that's what I'm talking about. You're saying that what, their sales aren't as high as people back then, or what?
I'm saying that their sales ideally should have been higher based on not necessarily what they're catering towards, but the fact of like, okay, if you're talking about the things that you're talking about and you put out an album with you being number one, the way you were number one when you came out in the freshman year per se, then you should be doing exceptional numbers. And like I'm talking about like really good numbers in the sense of like, we can see you, not saying it's like a Drake level or like a Kendrick or J. Cole, but like when they first came out, when they were hitting X amount of numbers and there was a lot of buzz around their album and a lot of like, yo, I'm bumping this and I love it. Like, not saying that to the fans that do like them, not saying that's not the case. What I'm saying is a Megan Thee Stallion album comes out now and it's like, you might got like 1 week before the buzz dies out. Like, the only people now are like, that's listening to Megan Thee Stallion now, at that point, the second weekend, is people within that rotation of like a fan. But back in the day, if we're talking like even 5 years ago, Drake puts out the album and we're still talking about it for at least 2 months. J. Cole puts out the album, we're talking about it for at least 2 months. For Wale, even perspective, back when he was buzzing, if he put out an album, or even Meek Mills, we're talking about it for 2-3 months. But for somebody like Megan Thee Stallion, that has the same buzz when it comes to singles, just like they did when they were popping off, but doesn't pull the same numbers when the album comes out. It's like, that's a lot of like,
Yeah.
that's a
I
lot of
mean,
issue.
I feel like, honestly, her specifically, because if I'm interested in an artist, I will kind of dive deep into like their music and kind of who they are as a person.
Yeah.
And I fuck with Meg. Like, she was cool from the start to me.
She cool.
Like, she came on the scene with the sexual look, like with the, you know, like a sex icon kind of vibe to her, right? Like, you look at her and you're like, yeah, it's sexy. She is sexy. She is stallion. She look good, and she, you know, she about her shit. But like, I kind of noticed a change in Meg
I mean,
a little bit.
the Tory Lanez situation, fuck that.
That definitely put a damper on her whole shit. Like, she had to take a lot. Like, it was months before we even heard from her on Instagram. Like, where'd you go, girl?
And to make the situation clear, the reason why I specifically bring this up was mainly because of Chloe Bailey album sales. That's the main reason why I bring this up. I know I'm talking about, huh?
Are they not high?
No, there's not anything
No?
there's not anything that they projected. Ideally, articles are calling it a flop because
I mean,
of how
honestly,
bad.
I didn't listen to it, but I'm not a super fan of them. I like them. There are artists out there, and I think this is what a lot of social media does, is like, it lets you kind of interact with artists other than their music. And so when I see an artist online and I don't really listen to their music, sometimes I find myself just liking them as like a person or like a personality on social media. I don't really listen to her music that much, but I know she can sing her ass off. But I didn't listen to that album.
I ain't listened to the album either. I know her singles were good.
Yeah, and like, I always like her features too. Like, everything she features on is good, but
Exactly. So,
Like, I
so
think-
why not rush the album?
because you gotta realize there are people probably. Okay, well, let's
Me
go
personally,
back to what I said to Meg. Like, you know how I said she started off with that sexual appeal,
Mm-hmm.
and that's her though, and that's what she put on. Nobody told her to do that, to come into the
That's
industry
true.
like that. That's her, and now she's kind of changing. She's kind of changing into a more like, I don't know, like, it's not really as much of her as I can see. So I feel like maybe somebody put a bug in her ear and told her, you know, like, the industry is like that, and it fucks
You
with
know-
people sometimes. Even the strongest people, even.
You know what I'll say?
it's like,
To your point, I will say that if Ice Spice drops an official album
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't do well, it proves the point that, yeah, women in this mainstream industry does not have substance.
that's, yeah, like, I get it, because you do have to have substance to be an artist at all, even male or female. And I, again, just talked to another, like, ex, I don't know, musician. Like, he was in a band, like a real band, toured, everything. And I asked him for help, and he was like, well, like, yeah, you have one good song, but you need to write 20 more songs just like that before you can even drop this. And I'm like, damn, 21 songs?
Just
What,
like-
drop it?
Well, okay, like
You know what I mean? Like, he was exaggerating, but he was like, you need to make sure you have something else, because
No, okay.
you need to have substance.
That
That's-
I agree.
That's what he said.
That I agree.
Basically.
But to have a song like it, 20 more, that's absurd.
Yeah.
But
I don't
to
know
have
what he
20
said,
more,
but I got what he meant. Like, I need the
okay.
substance.
I'm
And-
like, ooh.
And like, well, I did look up, because at first when Ice Spice came out and she was popping, listen, I don't like mainstream stuff, so the fact that she became so mainstream so quick, it kind of like put a damper on her for me. And even though she's cool, like, I have nothing against her if she like stumbles
Oh,
across
so
this
you-
video. I don't know if she will. I don't got
much.
Huh? You said I'm a munch?
I was playing around. I was saying
It's cool. I'm a munch.
Yeah.
Shit, she looked good. I'm a munch for her. But anyways, nah, like, she cool. Like, she really cool. But like, when people get on somebody's body way too quick, I'm quick to be like, man, it's not for me. You know? So I kind of looked at her page a little more and just, you know, looked up stuff about her, like where she even came from. She came out of left field with some hits, like some bops. Like, everybody's playing her shit, male and female playing her shit. And she has been making music for a little bit now. You know, she's not just like she didn't come out the woodworks and boom, now she's famous. Like she really has been working on this. So I respect her for that, and I was surprised she didn't, you know, get popping already. But one thing that's getting people popular is TikTok. Like there is a lot of artists just popular from TikTok, but we see that all the time from Vine, Musically. People are still famous from those social media platforms. So you know what I mean? Like I don't know. There's just certain songs that pop up because of those.
Right. So.
Because I think she came from TikTok. That's what people were saying. Like the first song she made, it was really like popping on TikTok, and boom, there we go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I see what you mean. Like if she comes out with an album and it flops, you know, I mean, she got enough fans. Like people are saying her fans are up to the standards of like the Barb's, like Nicki Minaj's fans. And look, he's getting bored by this conversation.
No. I'm just worried about the time on the thing before it goes off. So,
Oh, gotcha,
no,
gotcha.
That's not it.
Okay, gotcha. I was like,
I was just
about to take a nap real quick.
Like I didn't want to cut you for this conversation, but I was like, I don't want this video to cut in the middle of you saying something. And I'm like, oh shit.
No, you're good. Freaking, I don't know. I don't think. Let's just hope her fan base can carry her, because like it do be about the fan bases. Like if you got enough fans, like you said, she could drop a picture of her pinky toe and it go viral.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Which is, let's not get into this. How much time do I have left?
Like
Okay, I got like another 8 minutes. Okay, I guess I can run into this to a degree. So I don't know if I told you this. I know I told some people this, where I'm like, if I was a woman, I'd be offended at who was it? It was Meg Thee Stallion and somebody else, and Iggy. I'd be offended if I was a woman. If I was a woman that
Iggy Azalea?
yeah, if I was a woman that twerks on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, on a daily basis, I'll be offended. And the reason why I say that is because Meg Thee Stallion and Iggy is already known. For some odd reason, they go viral for twerking out of just nowhere. It's like, okay, you twerked on stage before. You twerked in public bathrooms. You twerked in the bedroom. Why is this specific one you just automatically viral for? Why is it labeled a headline? Oh my God, Meg Thee Stallion is viral for twerking on boyfriend. What's the difference? Like, what's the difference? And I would feel quote offended, because if I'm trying to, I didn't twerk and make myself known X, Y, Z, I've been doing this for months now. She does one thing and all of a sudden she pops off. So I would have been offended. This is why I'm like, hey, this is this way.
And it's like, if you think about it, a lot of artists nowadays, or a lot of fans nowadays, I feel like they do just kind of ignore the music. Like, not ignore the music, they
So survivor.
they don't acknowledge the music when it comes to how a person presents themselves on social media. Like Meg posts a lot of shaking her ass, she posts a lot of her body on her social media, and people like that. A lot of her fans like that, and they might not even like her songs.
And that's another thing too.
That's what I'm saying. People like the personalities, or what they think they know, because honestly, none of y'all even know these celebrities unless you know them outside of shit. Like, that's why I never act like I like or dislike somebody so much, because I don't know these people personally. I don't. So I'm not saying any of that. It's just sometimes they just like the personality, and then when the song comes out, even if it's a flop, they're still gonna be like, oh well, I'm her fan, like even though you know the song. So.
I was laughing a bit earlier because I remember I was watching a video of Ice Spice where she was at, I believe it was not Coachella, it was some performance that she was doing. It was pretty recent, and I listened to the crowd, and back in my head I'm laughing because you don't really hear the crowd like that. She's rapping, and as soon as she decides to bend over, which I happen to see this not just with Ice Spice, but other female artists. As soon as she decides to bend over, all you hear is like, oh my gosh! And I'm just like, yo.
Yeah.
I don't, the way people work.
Yeah, I think
weird.
The body thing has definitely come back into play a lot. Like, you know, when Nicki came out and like everybody wanted that Nicki body, you know, she really, I feel like
But
she
the
really
thing is,
started
Nicki
that.
has substance.
No, I'm not talking about Nicki in that music way. I'm
Okay.
talking about like in a physical aspect way. You know, that started and like Kim Kardashian, it started the BBL era
Yeah.
and all that. And then we kind of like a few years ago, I feel like people were kind of more leaning towards natural bodies again and like, oh, let's work out and let's do this fitness stuff. But now since a bunch of these artists coming out are kind of having this figure again, I feel like it is putting people back in the position of like, a lot of these girls are their fans because they want to look like them, not be like them.
Yeah, which is why I'm not gonna say a lot of guys, but there are
Artist-wise, but
there are some guys that definitely go like, you want me to pick you for you, but you are technically speaking, dressing and acting like everybody else. Like, you want to follow Kim Kardashian so bad, you're right. You want to follow Kim Kardashian so bad and say that, oh, but I'm different though.
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not a follower. Like, obviously, in some aspects, everybody's a follower or something. But yeah, when it comes to that whole situation, like, yeah, I can't. I'm not gonna let anybody influence me to alter my body, and then years later, I hate it. Like, if I want to get something done, I'm gonna do it for me, not because I want to look like somebody else.
Your
Like,
body looks good.
Thank you, but I'm definitely gonna get my titties done if I can, and not done like
There
with
goes
silicone or anything. Like, I'm just gonna get it the natural way. That's gonna take a while because I need more body fat to be able to do that. And as you can see, I have a lot of body fat. But that's my personal decision because after I had a kid and I nursed my daughter, now I have nothing. Well, not that I don't have anything. It's just they're a little saggy.
We're gonna talk about
Okay,
modeling.
sorry. Anyway.
We're
I'm
gonna
gonna
talk-
get a boob job done and I don't give a fuck, and Kim Kardashian didn't influence me, okay? I'm saying it myself. And if the surgery fucks up, that's on me, but hopefully it doesn't.